All right, I'm back. Part three, last part, I think. Next question, number 9. What is the biggest challenge when discussing ROI to C-levels about social media? Um, well, I don't think that discussing ROI at the highest levels is all that difficult because I think actually the only thing that C-level folks care about is ROI. I think the disconnect between senior levels of management, whether it is um, a product company brand type of thing or a nonprofit organization, whatever, is understanding what I was saying before, the totality of the experience that you need to create, that full set of behaviors that build up to the ultimate outcome you want someone to take. So the way I think about it is in reverse. What is the thing that the C-level executive ultimately cares most about in terms of success? For most people, it's selling product, right? Or some type of transaction. And that is where social media has this sort of fundamental disconnect because social media is not a great tool for driving transactions. It's a great tool for beginning relationships. It's a great tool for connecting with people and having a conversation. It's a great tool for listening and monitoring and kind of getting a sense of what people are interested in, which creates opportunities for you from a marketing strategy and execution standpoint. But at the end of the day, if a C-level executive wants to sell more stuff, the disconnect is that there is not a really straight line between social media and selling stuff. So I actually think of it not as trying to explain the ROI of social media to C-level executives, but go back to this idea of looking at the user experience, the consumer behavior that you're trying to shape, and what role social media can play. So the ROI for social media is extraordinarily high, or potentially very high, when you're talking about introducing yourself to someone or gaining social validation from a community of people, so that you can borrow their credibility when delivering information to someone. The ROI is high when you're talking about being responsive and being real time and being relevant and taking advantage of events as they unfold in the world. But that is just the first part of that behavior path that you need someone to go down. That's the awareness piece. That's maybe the framing, the introduction piece. But there's still the education piece, the engagement piece, the pieces where the consumer, the audience really understands what product you're selling and why it's important to their life and why it's valuable and why you're better than the competition. That education takes time. It takes more than 140 characters in most cases. It takes some exploration. It takes some comparison. It takes some trial and error. Sometimes I have to use the product or understand the product in the context of my life before I'm going to move forward, or understand why your nonprofit organization is more likely to solve this problem that I care deeply about than this other one that sounds very similar to what I do. That engagement, is not just time spent, because I can spend a lot of time, waste a lot of time on social media, getting information and not go any deeper. That engagement has to be marked by activities that show a progression in terms of that relationship. So maybe initially I'm reading and then I'm sharing and then I'm creating, right? That is a progression of engagement that starts to show me this person is ready to take the plunge, or to, if they took a quick transaction at the beginning, to take the next plunge and to sustain that behavior. So the issue to me in terms of explaining ROI is really about the context and really placing ROI of social media in the bucket that largely, if not entirely, is focused on awareness, and maybe if used properly, and particularly with longer formats of content, or deeper levels of connection, which is dependent on the platform as well. A lot of times you can't do that really on Twitter. You can do it kind of on Facebook. You can definitely do it on things like LinkedIn or SlideShare or Scribd, if you use them right, and YouTube for sure. But to look at social media in the context of awareness and not the deepening of that connection, the providing of or sustaining of knowledge and engagement that then leads to the mobilization of the transaction. So once I can break someone at the most senior levels of their sort of stereotypical perception of what social media is and the magic that it creates unto itself, things go very smoothly because we look at what social media can provide and how it's much more cost effective and faster, and does not require the same you know cost and commitment for each of the posts as something like a television commercial or an online game, something that requires developers and designers, right? Social can be relevant and timely and compelling with much less effort and more intelligence. Once they understand that, it's game changing, and they embrace social in a different way, and frankly, social becomes that much more integrated with the rest of the marketing and product strategy and everything else because they see that it takes all these pieces connected together for you to ultimately achieve what you want. Um, Number 10, what is your social media philosophy on a successful campaign? How do you measure your ROI? So my social media philosophy is uh, content first, audience first, um, value at the premium. Or let me rephrase. I would say it's um, audience first, content rich, and data smart. So audience first means who you're trying to reach and what you're trying to do dictates what you're going to do on social media, and frankly, whether or not social media is the right tool for engaging someone around this effort at all. If you're in politics, my background is in politics, and you're trying to get someone to vote or to consider a candidate in, a meaningful way in the issues that they care deeply about, social media is not a great platform. The most effective platform is something like door-to-door canvassing. It's a little more labor intensive, certainly, than reaching out to thousands of people on Twitter. But if you're looking at the ROI of somebody reading your position paper, you're not going to get that as easily from Twitter as you are if you knock on their door and spend some time, providing that information, answering questions, etc. So that's why audience first, because that dictates everything else. Content rich, because I think, marketing taglines and empty phrases and things that you click through that don't lead anywhere of substance, that don't build knowledge, that don't answer questions, that don't give you, insight or intel into what's coming next, that is a waste of time. That is an empty use of any kind of communication medium, but it also has a chilling effect on the likelihood that someone is going to click through on your stuff again in the future. So you have to have, a real editorial strategy, a content strategy. You have to have options, long, short, visual, text, audio, video. You have to have all of these different tools to play with from a content standpoint. So as the conversation evolves across different social platforms, you're able to be a part of that conversation without kind of slowing things down. The advertising world, I don't think fully understands social media because the advertising world is very used to creating, ads, these single expressions of, the message, as opposed to engaging in a conversation. PR is probably much more likely to understand and thrive in the social media space because PR is an ongoing real-time type of activity, and that's why when you look at who's really excelling at social, it's actually the people who are in the media business. Media thrives at social media. Sports, entertainment, politics. People who have continually new, fresh ideas and content that they can manipulate across different platforms. Those are the people who are having success. So that's why it's got to be content rich. And then the last is data smart. The wonderful thing about digital and social media tools is that we have extraordinary intelligence into why and how people are using it, who is using it, who is not using it. You need that data because if you're spending all your time on Twitter trying to get young teens, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you're trying to get media and political influentials on Facebook, you're going to find yourself without much engagement. The different platforms are being used by different audiences in different ways for different things. That data exists, and now the data exists so significantly and the platforms are so powerful that you can and should be, whether you're doing paid or organic marketing, using that data to only reach the people who are most likely to be interested in what you're doing. So you can have the best content in the world and the best understanding of the audience and still be wasting extraordinary amounts of effort and time and resources reaching the wrong people who are never going to convert in any way for you. That's why you need the data to be really smart, and you need that data, whether it's your own data or the platform data, to continue to make you smarter as you go along, and as your effort, um, you know, goes forward. All right, wrap up. Any additional thoughts about the industry? Um, so I would encourage you, because I don't want to waste hours and hours and hours of your time on video, but I would encourage you go check out my books and my blog at shiftandreset.com, because I spend a lot of time ranting about what's wrong with uh, the different industries and what I consider to be their lack of vision, their lack of commitment to innovation, their constant confusion between awareness and anything of deeper connection and meaning and value that's going to lead to transactions, whether those are behavioral changes that make people healthier or get them more committed to causes or just get them to buy, better stuff or the stuff that you want them to buy. I don't think that for all the talk and sophistication and knowledge that's out there, that people are as smart in these different industries as we think. So one of the pieces of advice I would give you is, don't look at what the industries have done in the past or what they are currently doing as a guide for how you should be doing things going forward. If the PR industry or the ad industry or the marketing industry writ large knew what they were doing, they wouldn't be struggling as much as they are, and they wouldn't be defending themselves against the criticisms as much as you see them doing that. So it's the wild wild west out there in a lot of ways. Nobody really knows what they're doing, why things work. The things that we know work, we don't yet know how to scale or adapt or sustain. We know how to do something extraordinary around one project, but then we use the same playbook for something else and it doesn't work. So we need to get a lot smarter as a communications industry, as a digital industry, as a social space. That is the challenge that exists for you guys. And what I would say, though it sounds cliche, is be fearless and never rest. Right? I said it before. You're not going to be successful sitting in your office waiting for someone to come to you and ask for help. Or if you do that, by the time somebody comes and asks you for help, the help that they're asking you for is probably going to be the wrong help. You need to put yourself out there. So if you go and have a job or get a job at an agency, pay your dues and work hard on those projects, but don't sit there with, your mouth shut and your hands under your lap, during these meetings. If you see something that doesn't make sense just because some senior person, with a lot more experience than you in the industry said it, does not mean that they're right. Does not mean that they know what's going on. Continually make yourself smarter, right? People watch and read things way outside your interest, right? Subscribe to magazines, spend time at bookstores, take the bus when you would normally drive. Like the behaviors that you see people taking will inform your marketing strategy so significantly. Some of the best, most innovative, smartest people in marketing, simply pay closer attention than anybody else. They observe and they ask questions and they do their homework and they connect dots in ways that nobody else does. But you got to have more dots to connect. So continue to keep yourself engaged and active, and smart and involved in things that take you outside your comfort zone a little bit, because that's how you keep your brain sharp. And the last thing I would say, and the last bit of advice I would give, is just try stuff. There's no right answer. There's no best practice. There's no playbook you can follow that's going to be successful. Something that worked really well last week won't work well at all next week. Something that has never worked before may all of a sudden become relevant or become an opportunity and take off. And so when you're positioning yourself, when you're marketing yourself, when you're trying to get business for yourself, throw 100 ideas against the wall and see how many stick. Give a client, or a prospective client, 3, 4, 5 different options, and be very transparent about the fact that you don't know exactly how this is going to turn out. Everything I do is experiment based, right? I want to run 3, 4, 5 experiments simultaneously with a client because that's going to give us data and intel and experience and perspective, the ability to learn what works and doesn't work. If you're not trying and experimenting and failing and testing and quickly adapting, to what you've learned, then, you might as well just do, one thing your entire life. Literally, you might as well just productize whatever you're doing and take that to the bank for as long as it does. That's not my approach. That's not my recommended approach. It's a much safer approach. It's a much easier and less exhausting approach to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's the approach that agencies embrace, right? You do one thing, you do it well. The more you do it, the less expensive it gets for you to do it, so you have greater margins. But to me, that is not innovative. It's not dynamic. It's not interesting. And in a world that is so rapidly and constantly changing and disrupting and just falling apart, and everything that we know about marketing and communications and social could be completely BS in days, hours, weeks, whatever. If you're not actively trying and failing at sort of everything, then you're just waiting for the opportunity to be fired or to be unemployed or to not have clients, or to be kind of stuck, to be you know going nowhere fast. So that's it. My information again, my email, brian@littlemmedia.com. My Twitter is @brianrich. Michelle knows how to reach me. Feel free to ask me questions. If you find yourself in New York, give me a call. We'll have coffee. If you have an idea that you want my help with, I'm happy to talk. If you have something you're interested in doing that I can make an introduction, or whatever, by all means, let me know what I can do. Good luck, and I hope it was helpful. Talk to you soon.